What's going on, everybody? My name's Dan. This is the Friday morning freestyle on the Hard Knocks Talks platform. We have Aaron Gleadow in here in the studio with us today. Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing really well.
Yes, when you were in with us last time, you were simply Aaron Gleadow, person in recovery. We talked about sharing, you shared your story with us, and right after that, you started a page, Detox Junkie.
Yeah,
Um, that name's a bit controversial.
it is.
It is. How was it coming up with the name?
Coming up with the name was interesting. First of all, thank you so much for having me back. I'm super excited to be here. I love being in the studio. I love being able to talk to like-minded individuals and people out there that are just looking for a message or curious about recovery and that type of thing. And your page does that, and your podcast does that, and it's really an honor to be here again. So thanks, Dan, for the invite. Coming out of our last conversation and just plunging straight in, I came up with the name Detox Junkie. Detox, obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. I went through detox, and I'm detoxed.
Just once?
Actually, no. I've been through detox a few times, yeah. But this time it seems to have worked. It was about 2.5 years ago, and I'm going strong and loving life. So the detox part, and then it was the second part, and I was trying to figure out a name, obviously, that I wanted catchy. I wanted a name that would be original and exemplify what I'm all about. And I'm a detoxed person, and I'm an ex-junkie. And I know that term carries a lot of stigma to it. But honestly, in addiction, my life was junky. My thoughts were junky. My sanitation was junky. The way I went about my daily life was junky. I wasn't in a great place. It was a junkyard inside my body, inside my head, and that permeated to the things I touched and was exposed to in my addiction.
I like that, man. Now that you say it like that makes a lot more sense to me.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you want to get into that before you actually pulled the pin?
Over 2 years.
Oh, so you got sober and 5 minutes later, you're like, I want to start a Facebook page.
Yeah, not so much the page, but I knew I had this drive when I was in Cedars at Cobble Hill on Vancouver Island. That was a treatment center that I ended up going to. And when I was in that treatment, I came out with a burning desire to share my story and help others in recovery. I think Cedars really opened the door for me, just being able to speak with the other people that were with the other addicts that were at Cedars at the time, and being able to stand up and speak and seeing how I was received. And I was able to take that and go, I've got a story, I've got a message, and I'm able to articulate it and get it out. And it's in me. It's a passion. It's a fire to share the aspects of addiction that are often not really talked about or brought to the foreground.
Such as?
Honestly, grief, suffering, pain, the shitty parts of addiction that keep a person isolated, alone, and within themselves. The parts that take away your hope, take away your soul, and just continually crush you in addiction. And I remember feeling like that. And I want to talk about it.
And those come into recovery too. Like you don't just put the dope down and go to treatment for 28 days and all of those soul crushing things are gone.
Not at all.
Like Steve-O, he has a quote, and I don't know if he came up with it or not, but I heard him say it. Yeah. So we'll roll with it. And he said, I didn't have a problem until I stopped.
Yeah.
Or how did he say it? Now I'm going to mess it up. He's like, I didn't feel the effects of my alcoholism until I stopped drinking.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Once the drugs and the alcohol were removed, I was left with a human with a shit ton of problems. And I had to start digging to start weeding those issues out. And they still pop up, man. Like it's not one and done. And maybe this is going to be something I carry throughout my life. There's part of me, and there's honestly part of my heart and soul that's a little black. It's going to probably remain that way, and I'm okay with it. I've learned to accept that because there's memory and there's history within me that's really disgusting. It's really dark and it's painful. And it's now I can reflect back on it almost like another person, looking at that history and taking it and being able to grow from it and share with it and
Mm-hmm.
help others.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a conversation with last Sunday's guest. Her name's Missy Hume. If y'all want to check out her episode, it's on the YouTube channel. She is a woman whose daughter is in addiction, and she has full blessing from her daughter to talk about it, and because her daughter understands the importance of family, right?
Yeah.
So she advocates and publicly speaks about it. And one of the things that she said, we were talking about intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
The thoughts that keep coming back, and like even 6 years in, I'm still having those thoughts that they come back and they just mess you up.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm working towards finding a solution for those. And in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that later.
Sweet.
But she said, oftentimes you have to forgive again. You will forgive, and then those thoughts will come in and you have to forgive again.
Yeah.
And I think that could be something towards yourself. Like if you've done something and you're shameful about it and it keeps coming back, it's like forgiveness is not a one-time event oftentimes.
No.
So
that's a really good point. That's really wise to look at it like that. I mean, I find myself having to forgive myself often, and not for the present. Not for the present at all. In fact, I'm at a place where I often look at the present and look for reasons why I need to forgive myself for now. It's like, wait a second, I'm actually
what can I feel shameful for today?
Exactly.
Let's go digging around.
26 years, it was built into the fabric of my very being. It was a normal thing to feel. As crazy as that sounds, it was a normal thing. And it's gone for the most part, but it does creep in. And when it does, I go, shit, I got to inspect my life. What am I doing that I need to be shameful for? And then I'm like, wait a second here. I'm not. So it's difficult.
I posted a meme some time ago, and I repost it from time to time. It says, if I don't have any problems, I like to wander off into the future until I find some.
There you go.
Like if my day is good, I wonder what things I can make up or what fights I can get into my head that can just like put me back in my place.
Yeah.
We find these familiarity in misery.
Yeah.
Right. It almost has become our safe haven.
True.
Because we can go there and we feel like we're amongst friends, so to speak. This bad memory or this concern about something that might happen in 5 years, or how I got here, where I'm going, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And those are all questions that keep me company quite nicely when I'm looking for miserable things to feel.
Yeah. And I don't know about you or others, but like for me, those types of memories pop up pretty easy if I'm not careful, or if I'm digging around in my own psyche, in my past psyche too deeply. I experienced a flashback. So I was diagnosed with CPTSD soon after the booze was gone. Like we talked about earlier, once the drugs and the booze are gone, you can actually start working on yourself. And I had a flashback the other day because I was diving into my past and really putting some serious thought on an area of my past and talking about it, to explore where I was and how I got out of that, and any messages I could bring forward from it. And I was in a really safe spot. I was at Kristen's house speaking with her, but I had a flood of emotion that brought me right back to the incident I was actually talking about. And it crushed me, and I started weeping. I started crying. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm in a rough spot. I know I'm going to be okay, but I'm experiencing a memory. I'm reliving a memory from my past.
Remembering
A memory. Exactly.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
That'll bring you back to the moment.
No, but it messed me up. And that's exactly what we're talking about, is this type of this old type of thinking that can sneak in. And I knew I was safe, and I have the tools to get through it now. So it took me, 15 minutes to work myself back to a nice calm state. Whereas a couple of years ago, that could send me for a tailspin for days, weeks.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, because like I mean, in the eyes of many, I'm still a very new creator. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. And it's one of those things where I wake up and like people ask me what I do, and I have to smile because I don't get it. How did, because like I was a welder in an old life,
Right.
And before I started this, like I had to learn to open a Word document so that I could go to school. Like that's how little I knew.
Yeah.
So to go all in and then, see progress and then find stability
Yeah.
and then do this full time, that's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Like in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan,
Yep.
So, and it's so great to see others joining me in the
Yeah.
community, like Chantel Huel with Trap House Testimonies, and you now with Detox Junkie.
Yeah.
Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but tell me, what was it like for you when you first started doing this? Did you feel like you were going to get a lot of instant gratification? Did you feel like when you posted your first thing, you're like, this is amazing, I'm going to blow up?
No.
No?
Not at all.
I wish I would have
Yeah.
thought that way. I thought I was going to, like, I came in like, this is going to be amazing.
I came in hopeful
Mhm.
because I had received so much positive praise and encouragement from the times that I have spoken publicly, like our last conversation on Hard Knocks Talks, times I've done things through work, times I've spoken with Work Happy podcast, which is out of Walla Walla.
Mhm.
I
I was on
received-
his show a little while ago.
Pardon me?
I did a recording with him a little while ago.
With Greg?
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Greg's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Greg used to sell me Canucks tickets when I lived in downtown Vancouver. That's how
Oh.
he and I met.
Nice.
And then he just
Like on the street?
Oh, no, he was actually
The trench
Sometimes.
coat, checking it out.
What do you want? Front row?
Yeah.
No, he was my way back in the day. He was sales rep with the Canucks, Vancouver Canucks,
Mhm.
and now he's left that obviously, and he does his own podcasts and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, but entering into this journey, I don't even remember where I was going with that. But
Mhm.
in any event, entering into this journey, I had expectations that were pretty open. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I felt confident that I could build something. And the real surprise was actually the vulnerability I felt when I started getting encouragement and so much praise.
What do you mean the vulnerability you felt?
I suddenly felt like I'm in front of thousands of eyes. And I am. We are.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I didn't realize that that would actually have an impact on how I felt. And
Mhm.
so,
Like, did insecurities start coming up?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it still does. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
okay. Like I can recognize it, but at the same time I'm like, holy crap.
Wait till
yeah.
the trolls show up.
Sorry?
I said,
Oh
wait
my
till the
God.
trolls, yeah.
Yeah,
And when they do, I want you to rejoice. Okay,
Okay.
that is my creator advice for you for the
All
day,
right.
on air.
Yeah.
When the trolls show up,
Yeah.
be happy that you've succeeded in something.
Like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
insulting someone.
Yeah. No, well, not,
No.
not, well, yes. Okay. There is that, but it's also like, when you start building something that is succeeding, people
Yeah.
will start to try and tear it down or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that you're making it. And this is what other creators told me. They said, you're making it when the trolls show up.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye for them. I've been asked for a lot of money.
We'll go
from
for
all sorts
cheesecake.
of-
We'll
Yeah,
go for when you get your trolls.
we'll celebrate.
Yeah, we will.
That sounds great.
Okay.
I'll send you some posts. I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, dude, we got to go for cheesecake.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be like, those aren't trolly enough.
Yeah. I'll wait till I get some real bangers.
Yeah.
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 Sounds good.
Yeah.
No, but all the responses I've got so far are primarily positive. I've been proposed for some money and stuff like that from third world countries. I've had people reach. Yeah, I've had some really interesting messages come through, and I can't help people with their financial situation in middle of Africa, but I can offer words of encouragement and support, and that's
Well, and
what I'm able to do.
And that's, if you want to talk about it from a business stance, like that's our product, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
trying to bring healing to community. And if you want to be successful in life, that's what you do. You find a way to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's why we're here, and something else about it. You have to do something that you truthfully love,
Yeah.
or you'll give up before you succeed. And whatever your meter of success is up to you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Like I've heard a lot of creators say, if you don't love this, you're going to give up before you succeed because it's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you nailed it, man. Like if I didn't love this, I don't think I'd be able to continue with it. I wasn't aware of how much work it would actually be. It's a lot of work. It's great work. It's
Hmm.
rewarding work and it feels awesome. And I wake up in the morning geared and wanting to share messages of hope. I do my daily reflection in the morning, and often things come out of that I want to put into some form of message and get out there for people to read.
Hmm.
And like I said, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. So that's super cool. And then meeting other creators as well and having you to help mentor me. I mean, you've been so awesome with the advice you've been giving me in the texts and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm super grateful for people like you and like Rachel in Tennessee. I mentioned with Addict with Purpose. She's been really leaning out and giving me some advice and helping me out as well.
Hmm.
And it's a really cool community we have out there.
Hmm.
It's amazing to be part of.
Yeah. And like it took me a year to get to 5,000 followers.
Hmm.
And it's something that happens exponentially,
Yeah.
and it ebbs and flows. And like even now, well, especially now, now that I've established a bit of a following and a bit of a presence in the community, when my analytics aren't looking good, that weighs on me,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
like the volatility of social media, you can get shut down for no reason,
Yeah.
for someone reporting you for whatever, and then all of a sudden bad things start happening.
Yeah.
So it's still very stressful, and that's why I try to like branch out on different social media platforms just in case.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
You're doing some more live stuff now too, right? Like you've been to a couple conferences or
yeah,
seminars and stuff. Like that's amazing that
that's
you've
crazy.
taken this from what you started as a primary like an online podcast,
Hmm.
and now you're being asked to do these interviews. I know CBC came and did a feature with you guys. You
Hmm.
were up north at a conference with Donna.
Hmm.
Like that's awesome. I love that growth. I love
Hmm.
to see that happen where we're doing things online and through social media, and then that becomes part of what we do to support community as well. And
Yeah.
we're actually out there in person doing things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't see any of this coming. Like when I started this from my laptop at my dining room table, um, yeah, I didn't see any of this.
Yeah.
And then naturally, like the next thing comes along, being asked to come and speak, and then you speak at one thing, and a couple of people hear you, representatives from different organizations. And like the first one we did in Nipawin was a
Mhm.
harm reduction conference. And it was a follower of ours that called us up and said, "Hey, come do the thing. Bring your booth, and we'll we'll put you up for the night, and we'll feed you, and we'll give you a couple dollars." And I'm like, that doesn't sound terrible. So yeah, we went. Donna and I went, and we shared parts of our story, and they just they ate it up.
That's
And it
awesome.
was very, very productive. And then a couple people said, "Hey, we'd like to have you come in." And it's just sort of like growing
Yeah.
like that, just slowly. And the thing that I'm finding is like, I have to find the line. And this is for all aspects of life and recovery. You know what? Here's something that I've learned.
Yeah.
I have learned more about myself and recovery
Yeah.
in business
Hmm.
than I have in the rooms.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, through my own lens, like, of
Yeah.
course, the principles that they instilled in me when I was early on in my recovery, and I did the steps, I did the things.
Yeah.
Those principles were very important to be instilled in me, and I still go to meetings sometimes.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that the meetings are bad, and this is just my own personal experience. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you're going to learn more in business. I'm
Yeah.
I'm saying that's what happened to me. But yeah.
That's interesting. It sparks some ideas. Much like you in my earlier stages of recovery, I did 90 meetings in 90 days, and I really crammed in the meetings and really honed my sort of my approach to my own recovery. That the rooms really helped me with that.
Hmm.
But now, moving on and really for the last year, for myself personally, when I'm sharing things, that is what really causes me to take true looks in the deeper corners of my being and continue helping me grow through
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't say that nearly as eloquently as I had it planned when I was in the shower this morning.
Well, you can go and beat yourself up about it
I'm
later.
going to,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's in the calendar.
Yeah. There's a shame thing for today. Thank
Yeah.
God. 'Cause I thought I was going to get out of here.
Thank God you don't have to look any further.
I know, right?
Yeah. Let's look at some comments.
Yeah.
Twinkle, good morning. Twinkle's talking about the trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said, Twinkle says, they'll report for no reason or start fights. It can be heavy on us. And it can be. Like, it's easy to say, God bless the trolls. Like, it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
And I would be lying to you if I didn't sit here, and sometimes they cut. Like, sometimes they hit a nerve, but it just exposes something about myself that I need to work on. But anyways, Twinkle goes on to says, I used to be in the forefront as an advocate, and they come after us. And they do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just simply because they had a bad day. Like, there's times where like people will pop off at me, like long comments, like just going off and off and off. And, oh, you're not working the program right. And you need to get to the rooms and call you, and they'll go off, and same thing on the other side of things, not necessarily about the rooms, about spirituality, about, oh, you need to follow Jesus or whatever. And it gets pretty heavy. But, it always inspires growth.
Yeah.
So
that's good. You can take it like that. I think there's a lot of different routes to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I'm not judgmental to any of them. If a person's finding success in true recovery and true hope and rebuilding their lives and learning who they are, and they're doing the right things and they're feeling good about themselves, then their recovery is working.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one to judge and tell them, no, you're not going to enough meetings, or you have to do this instead of that, or
Mm-hmm.
or what are you doing on mat or whatever. Like, I'm not the guy to come into anybody's life and actually judge them for their recovery. I can only share what's working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever grabs onto that and whoever wants to experience or whoever wants to take something out of what I share, and if that helps their own recovery, awesome. But I'm never going to tell a person what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I will make suggestions, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to point a finger and say, you need to do this or that, because that's judgment. And that immediately makes a person feel like they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It can cause feelings of self-doubt and shame and all that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the message I want to portray. I want a message of inclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
and non-judgment and love, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
love for the fellow human.
Well, and that's something else. It's like the kindness that we display. I mean, I believe kindness has the power to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's groups out there that, and I think the narrative is changing. But when I was early in my recovery, and the narrative in my life was very much that this is the last house on the block.
Right.
If you don't find recovery in these rooms, there is nothing else for you.
Yeah.
That was the narrative that I thought I was hearing. Was I actually, or was that just my lens on what I was hearing? But I don't think so. Like, I think there's a lot of people out there who wholeheartedly believe that there is this one way.
Yeah.
And sometimes I sit back now, and I have reflected on this for a number of years. It's like, I wonder how many people have died because they bought into that.
Yeah.
This is the only way that will work. And if it doesn't work for you,
You're done.
that's it. I wonder how many people ended up standing on bridges or doing other things, So that's why I'm starting to really lean heavy on language, and really lean heavy on how people are using the language to express themselves
Mm-hmm.
and to connect with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because now when we start talking about language, I've seen posts removed from groups because they used a certain word. And the message was so powerful. It was such a good, solid message, and I've seen this more than once, where they'll say like, well, we don't use that word here. And they will either take the post down or tell that person that they need to find another group. I've also known organizations to not associate with certain pages because of the words that were used in the title of their page. And that's where I'm like, Detox Junkie, hey? Like, I'm like, But then I'm like, wait a minute now. I'm buying into it now. Like, if I'm like, no, I don't want to associate with that page. Now I'm like, now I'm doing it, So, I'm definitely not unscathed when it comes to closed-minded thinking at times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just, there is a lot of it. Fortunately, something I've seen, and maybe this is something that's been going on for quite a while, and I'm just getting exposed to it now, but I think there's a shift. I feel like there's a shift in general towards addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and mental health with an acceptance. And I think that the more we speak about things like this and more other people speak about things like this, that it will reduce judgment and stigma. Now, there's always going to be trolls. There's always going to
Mm-hmm.
be people that tell us we're doing it the wrong way. And there's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be people that say it's my way or the highway and it's the big book or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And those people just, they'll exist forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And they will help some people. I'm
Totally.
sure they will.
Yeah.
Some people they will. I'm not saying that that is completely not useful, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah. Going. We got some more comments here.
Twinkle's chatting a bit.
Yeah, Twinkle's heavy in the chat today. Twinkle says, nowadays I don't engage in negativity. I will not tolerate being bullied. Yeah, I don't know how much I've been, considering the size of the following that I have, and I'm not sitting here trying to pump my own tires or anything like that, but with 14,000 members in our private group, I've only ever had to block 2 people.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So that's really surprising, actually.
Yeah. And it's that I try to be as inclusive as I can, and as long as you're not spitting in the face of someone else's beliefs or spouting hate, like calling people names like cultists or Bible bangers or Nazis or whatever, I typically let it slide. And we've seen some really positive conversations come out of having that level of understanding that we don't all have to think the same to help each other, So, and I'm starting to practice that in my life, looking at alternative ways to healing and things, because like I've done the program, and I still go to meetings sometimes. And, I did the steps and there are a lot of people that say that you got to keep doing the steps. You got to keep doing them over and over and over again. And that just, for me, and I don't know, maybe this is like my own closed-mindedness or whatever, but that doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this for a long time. And, actually on Tuesday, I'm going on a psilocybin retreat. I don't even know really what to call it.
Wow.
Yeah, I connected with a psilocybin sacred journey facilitator.
Wow.
And 6.5 years into my healing from substance use, I'm gonna go and dig deep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. I hope you do a show about it.
I hope I will too.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'll have some epiphany and I'll go up to some mountain and I don't know.
Well, this is not anecdotal at all. This is based on fact, but I have a medical background, right? Like I worked in the hospital for 12 years.
Did I know that?
I worked in clinical, I was a diagnostic technologist in clinical neurophysiology. So I diagnosed things like carpal tunnel to ALS to brain tumors, epilepsy, traumatic brain injury, which contributed to my PTSD, actually, is some of the things I was exposed to. But
that's
through that work. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Surprise.
I'm pretty sure you like shared like most of your story with us when you were on last time, and either I have forgotten about that or you didn't mention it.
Maybe I didn't talk about it. I mean, that's a decade of my life. Yeah, I spent in the hospital, and at the end, I had to leave because I was not equipped with the tools to take care of myself in that environment. I saw a lot of suffering. I saw a lot of death. I worked with patients from just born to 100 years old. And I saw everything from tragic accident to disease to lifestyle effects on a person, a lot through addiction, diabetes, that type of thing. And it was a difficult environment to work through while I was suffering in my own addiction. I had nowhere to put these things that I was seeing. And they really did contribute to me reaching my own rock bottom. But I digress a little. While I was working in medical, I actually read quite a few papers, and it's cool to see that there's actual proven studies out there now about psilocybin and the benefits that they have for really hard to treat mental health and those types of things. And the studies are still out there, but this is a whole new world which is coming, from a little plant. And I think that's great to be looking at alternative medicines and to find that there's actually medical, like, documented medical proof that this stuff helps. Like,
Hmm.
it's very cool. So I'm really interested to hear about.
Yeah. Well, and it's not an it's new to a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
the conversation around psychedelics continues to be new
Hmm.
to a lot of people.
Hmm.
But the practice itself is ancient, you know? So, I would think, like, you don't, something like that doesn't stick around for that long and continue to be used in a therapeutic capacity,
Hmm.
if there's not something there.
Not at all.
And I've had a lot of conversations in my time doing this show with,
Yeah.
with ibogaine providers and people who work with different psychedelics. I had Chris Jordan on a little while ago. He is a Cambo practitioner.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems to come around,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things in my life. Like, I don't remember most of my childhood. Do you remember your childhood?
Glimpses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of what I do remember, like some bigger family vacations and stuff like that. But my memories from my past typically revolve around how I felt inside and not so much what was happening physically. I'm a very feely guy, and there's nothing I can do about that. That's just the way I perceive the world. So my childhood, I don't have specific memory. I have a lot of feeling. It's weird. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I don't remember anything before I was like, I don't know, I would say 10 or 11.
Wow.
I mean, that's not entirely true. Like, I do remember very small little glimpses, but I'm not cognitive about any of my memories till I reach about 13 or 14.
Okay.
So I'm like, and I've always felt this way. Like, I continue to feel the way that I felt before I started using substances.
Right.
I still have those feelings.
Wow.
I just have new memories to attach to those feelings, new experiences to attach to those feelings. But if I look at it, it's the same feeling that I was running from when I was 13 and got loaded on that 6-pack for the first time.
Yeah.
And the first time I found relief from it was from that 6-pack.
Yeah.
So now that I'm older and I've got all of this life experience now, it's the same feeling. And it took me like 6 years of healing, 6 years of not using drugs and trying to walk towards a better life, to realize that, you know what, this is the same thing. But when I was like 13 or 14, it was like about girlfriend. I got to have a girlfriend or I'm not okay. I don't fit in if I don't. It was all about that, but it's just different things now. So I'm going to go on this journey, and I'm going to see if we can't blow the dust off some things.
Incredible.
Like, what's the source?
Exciting. Yeah. You just nailed it. What's the source?
Yeah.
Where's the source?
Mm-hmm.
And what to do about it once you find that source,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. When you look back at your own childhood, if you could say, do you remember how you felt?
Not really.
No?
No,
Okay.
it's it's weird.
Huh.
Oh, what's going on? Oh, my mom's watching. What's up, Mom?
Hey.
I was going to call you and talk to you about the psilocybin journey, and you found out now, I guess.
Nice to meet you, Brenda.
We're going to have a phone call after this.
Are we?
I'm sure.
Awesome. I don't know. My parents might be on here too.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, being a parent is tough.
Yeah.
Being a parent is tough.
Yeah.
And I know that, my son particularly, he went through some stuff early on before we got sober, and then after I got sober, I was really involved in social media, and that was like unhealthy, and I don't want my son to, all he remembers of dad is sitting on his phone.
Yeah.
And that's not entirely true. Like, we do things. I'm not saying that.
You do lots.
Yeah, we do lots. So, but yeah, actually, why don't we touch on that a little bit?
Sure.
Do you talk about your parenting and recovery on your page on Facebook?
I haven't yet much. Maybe I've made mention that I'm a dad or that I have kids. I think I put a post up about, looking at your kids and using them almost like a litmus test for how you're doing. I can look at my kids and see how happy they are and how well they're doing right now. And I can stop myself if I'm feeling like a crappy dad or something and go, wait a second here. These boys are happy, healthy. They look great. They're moving around. They're eating tons. They're laughing. They're playing with each other. They got each other's backs. I have 3 sons, and well, you've met them.
Yes.
And so parenting and recovery, yeah, man, it's been a trip, because when I first got the kids back a year ago, and over a year ago now, and became like a half-time dad. So
Mm-hmm.
it's 50-50 custody split, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My kids were not in the same shape as they are today. I got to tell you, they were quieter. They were more reserved. I didn't have as open a relationship as I do with them.
Mm-hmm.
And now I hear from all three of them every day. I love you, Dad. Dad, can I have
Mm-hmm.
a hug?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dad, can we do something together? Hey, Dad, can I help you cook? All these types of things.
Yeah, I get that too. Yeah. And,
It's emotional.
that reminds me actually of an experience I had when I first entered recovery. And I was living in a sober living house, and I'd lost custody of my son.
Yeah.
He was apprehended. And one of the first visits, like it was like my first overnight visit, because I had to do supervised access. Like I had to have a social worker present so I could spend time with my son. And
Right.
and I just moved forward. It was like 2 hours, then it was 3 hours, then it was 6 hours, then it was overnight, and then it was weekends, and then But very early on, after I had started getting longer visits with him, like overnight or weekends, he
Mhm.
crawled into my arms and he said, "Safe now."
Oh my
He was
God.
3 years old. Yeah, he said, "I safe now." Yeah, that's a thing. So
That's
yeah,
that gave me goosebumps. That's
yeah,
that's
and that's the stuff that,
profound.
yeah, and it's important to talk about those things.
Yeah.
You know, um, Oftentimes in addiction, many of us walk around and saying, "I don't know why everyone's so mad. I'm only hurting me."
Yeah.
Were you like that?
Nope.
You knew?
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah,
I knew. I knew all too well, and it's led me to that field.
yeah,
I felt horrible. I mean, I hid from my kids for basically the last year of my addiction, and beyond that, for years prior, I was not engaged. But the last year, I basically built myself a bedroom within the house, put a locked door on it, and when I came home from wherever I was, I'd go in there
mm-hmm,
and just suffer an addiction by myself and ignore my family.
mm-hmm,
It was the loneliest time of my life for
mm-hmm,
sure,
mm-hmm,
and I can't imagine what that did to the kids.
mm-hmm,
I mean, I can see I saw some of the evidence when I came back from treatment, and I lived in a sober living house like yourself. And at
mm-hmm,
first, it started with a few hours, and then it was overnights, and then
mm-hmm,
it was weekends,
mm-hmm,
and then a year and a half into recovery, it was now full custody or split custody.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah. Well,
It's just
kids in recovery,
it's emotional. It's
rebuilding the relationship.
yeah.
You
Do you
know.
talk to your kids about
Oh,
addiction?
well, they're
Age
around.
appropriate?
They're around, man. Like, yeah, they
They
hear
know.
about it. My
Yeah.
son has heard my story,
Yeah.
more than once.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Um, in fact, like I have this tattoo on my arm, right? And this is, I don't know if you guys can see it or not.
Yeah.
And everybody who follows along knows about the story of Puppy, but Puppy was my son's, well, and still is my son's favorite stuffy, and
Right.
he had him since he was born, and he was also the last thing I handed my son when the social worker was taking him out the door, and Puppy went with my son
Mhm.
where I wasn't able to,
Mhm.
so I got Puppy tattooed on my arm, looking over my son
Oh,
to
that's so cool.
to remind myself, and not in like a shameful sort of way,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just this is a moment in time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a powerful journey ever since. And I've there's some things I don't go and tell my son, like obviously
Yep.
anybody who's been through addiction for any amount of time knows that there's things that are simply not age appropriate.
Yeah.
But overall, he definitely knows. I think my daughter's still a little bit too young to understand, but yeah, he definitely knows our history. So
That's good.
yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
And that's the same with my house. I don't censor my conversations when I'm on the phone or with somebody else and
Hmm.
my kids are around. I mean, I drop the F bombs a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Well, we live in a world where that word exists,
no, exactly.
and that's how I feel about it,
Same here.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking passionately about something and buck fits,
Yeah.
then I'm going to drop it. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna come out naturally.
Hmm.
But with talking about my life and addiction, my kids know quite a bit, and as they get older, they they ask more and more and more. And I'm really encouraged by seeing them ask, because they don't have the same sort of judgment I had as a kid. Walking to 7-Eleven and seeing a couple people passed out around 7-Eleven or sleeping doesn't scare my kids. They actually say, "Daddy, are they okay?" And I'll say, "I'm going to check." I carry naloxone, and when I see somebody lying in a ditch, we know the signs.
Yeah. Well, actually, we had to do that yesterday at the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we actually called 911 for a wellness check.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was someone down by the river not doing so good. We didn't, I don't know what the outcome was.
Yeah.
But the kids were there for that.
Yeah.
They saw that we were concerned.
Yeah.
You know, Donna went over and checked, and she called it in.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was another person a few days before that. We were talking to a guy at the river that wasn't so lucky. It wasn't a wellness check. It was a retrieval.
Yeah. Shoot.
So it's very real. This isn't something that happens somewhere else. This happens right here. And our kids are not overly sheltered from it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know what? Where can people find you?
Okay. Right now, the best place to find me is on Facebook, Detox Junkie, and all one word. And there's only one of me out there. And I'm also on Instagram, but I haven't really spent a lot of time there. But Facebook, Detox Junkie, it's where I'm at. You know, every night I respond to all the messages and usually throw up a couple posts a day, and whatever's kicking around in my head. That's where I'm at.
Cool, man. Well, it's good to see you growing. It's good to see you dedicated. Like you can tell when someone's passionate about something by the product that they're putting out, and I can see it that you're doing good. And best wishes and strength for the journey along the way, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So if you're getting something out of this conversation, please give it a like. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a like. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification button. It's that little bell, and then you won't miss a thing. We go live every Friday morning and every Sunday evening. We've got tons of content for you to catch up on if you want to. And that's it for now, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again. Take care.
Bye, everybody.